612. Just 1 second. Yeah. In the method of synthesis, right? That's what we have to read. In the method of synthesis. So, who will start reading today?
We have to redo Rangana. We have read it.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, that's right. So I'll read each sentence and then we'll see whether it is clear. So he has been discussing so many other yogas. Now he comes to his own yoga, which is the synthesis. So how to do the synthesis? He has told us very, very early in the beginning of the book that if you do all together, it will be a chaos because they are all opposed to each other. Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are almost opposites. So, and definitely it's opposite with Karma Yoga because in Jnana Yoga you reject the world, whereas in Karma Yoga you are accepting the world and doing work in it. So it's all opposite, chaos. And if you want to do one by one, that also is not possible because life is so short. So now he will have to invent a new method for this synthesis yoga. What is that method? We will have a look. Okay. We already know, he has already told us that there are two things that we have to do. The method of integral yoga. One is surrender to the divine. Okay. That's a very, very important thing. Hand over the responsibility of your yoga to the Divine Mother. Let her do everything for you. So surrender. Okay, that's one thing. Then we'll see what he's saying. Basically, that is the idea. In the method of synthesis, which we have been following, another clue or principle has been pursued, which is derived from another view of the possibilities of yoga. This starts from the method of Vedanta to arrive at the aim of Tantra. So, the method of Vedanta is to go to the self. Okay, that's very clear. You go to the self. How do you do that? There are many, many methods. One is by denying your own body, mind, life and go to the self. That's one way. The other is to silence the mind, and the other is again to concentrate on the positive method. The negative method is neti, neti, na iti, na iti. I am not the body, I am not the vital, I am not the mind. I am pure consciousness. That way. That is the negative method. But the positive method is you concentrate all the time on the divine and say, I am the divine. Okay? Don't concentrate so much on the negative. So that's another method. So what's she saying now? Method of Vedanta, you go to the self. And then you come to the Tantra. What is the Tantra? You don't leave the physical world. Okay? You accept it and continue to do works in the physical world. Okay? This is very interesting. We have already discussed this several times. The integral yoga and Tantra have three things in common. Okay? The first one is the worship of the Divine Mother, the Shakti aspect. He will discuss that. Just now he will tell you. We worship the Shakti aspect, not so much the Purusha aspect. The Purusha comes later on. The Prakriti comes first. Secondly, you don't leave the physical world at all. Okay? You continue to work here, and just as the Tantrics do. There is a slight difference, but both of them don't reject the physical world. And the third method is that the third not method, but the aim. The aim is to enjoy, okay, the ananda. That is there also common in all. We don't have to reject the physical world saying it's a field of pain and suffering permanently. No, you can get ananda here also by the right methods. So these things are common to Tantra and the integral yoga. Now he is telling you, in the Tantric method, Shakti is all important. Okay? Is a Shakti which is important. Becomes the key to the finding of spirit. In the other ones, the Vedantic method, you go to Purusha and reject the Prakriti. But here it is not like that. It's the opposite. You start from Prakriti, the Divine Mother, and discover the Purusha, the consciousness. Okay? In the Tantric method, Shakti is all important, becomes the key to the finding of spirit. In this synthesis, spirit, soul is all important, becomes the secret of the taking up of Shakti. You don't deny the Purusha, but you put the takes up the Shakti. The Tantric method starts from the bottom and grades the ladder of ascent upward to the summit. Because Tantrics also use Hatha Yoga, also they use a little bit. Okay, and also the Raj Yoga method, they do use. So it starts from the bottom and grades the ladder of ascent upwards to the summit. Therefore, its initial stress is upon the action of the awakened Shakti in the nervous system of the body and its centers, the chakras which are there. Okay? They concentrate on the chakras. The opening of the 6 lotuses is the opening up of the ranges of the power of spirit. So, all the power is gathered in these plexuses, or you can call them chakras. Okay, they are the ganglions. Also, sometimes they use the word, but that's different. Okay, so these are the nervous knots. Okay, the Mooladhara, the Swasthana, the Nabhi Padma, then the Anahata, and then finally Vishuddha in the throat, and then the Ajna Chakra in the forehead. But he has not spoken about the last one because that is the ultimate one. Okay, so he has said only 6 chakras, but actually it's supposed to be the chakras are 6, but the Sahasrara is not a chakra, it is above the head. Okay, so that's why he's saying 6. The secret of the Shakti. The Tantric method starts from the bottom and grades the ladder of ascent upwards to the summit. Therefore, its initial stress is upon the action of the awakened Shakti in the nervous system of the body and its centers. The opening of the 6 lotuses is the opening of all the ranges of the power of spirit. Our synthesis takes man as a spirit in mind. So this is a starting point for the integral yoga. You start from the mental center, the Ajna Chakra. Okay, you think start from there. I am spirit in the mind, and then you work upwards, and then the chakras open up themselves. Okay, they by themselves. That is the method. So you don't concentrate too much on the chakras. Opening itself directly. So to spiritual, so assumes his. I'll read the sentence again. Our synthesis takes man as a spirit in mind. Okay, the Manomaya Purusha. You start with that concept. Much more than a spirit in body, and assumes in him the capacity to begin on that level. Therefore, the integral yoga is not for everybody. Those who are capable of starting at that level. That means to say already a good deal of development must have already taken place. Okay. To spiritualize his being by the power of the soul in mind. He is again repeating, first of all, spirit in mind, now soul in mind, opening itself directly to a higher spiritual force and being, and to perfect that, and perfect by that higher force, so possessed and brought into action the whole of his nature. So you appeal, the aspiration is there constantly from the higher level, and you surrender to the Divine Mother. For that reason, our initial stress has fallen upon the utilization of the powers of soul and mind. Okay, soul and mind again. Third time he is telling you soul and mind, and the turning of the triple key of knowledge, works, and love in the locks of the spirit. Okay. So you have to use the mind, you have to use your vital, and you have to also use your will and body. Okay. The Hatha Yogic methods are dispensed. Yes. Yes, tell me.
Ranga, that means, in a way, for us to say that we have begun integral yoga is only after we have had some experience of the Manomaya Purush.
Some opening has to be there. Yeah, that's right. Not experience necessarily, but some opening somewhere. That there should be sufficient development in the being. That is the reason why Sri Aurobindo was rejecting most people who came for yoga. He said, you have to prepare yourself, go back. Okay, I'll accept you and I'll guide you, but you are not yet fit for yoga in the ashram. So you go back and prepare yourself and do whatever you are advised by. So it is, you are saying experience, okay? The experience can be at another level also, Archana. It can be, there should be sufficient development. And even though sometimes who are developed, they don't find this method very convenient.
Rangada, can I maybe more particular? What I mean, like, is there, can I say that we should have some opening of the self or some experience of the self or something, some connection with the self before you can think of because before you can go into integral yoga?
Even if not self, as I said, even if self,
yes,
it can be an opening at the psychic level. Okay.
Okay.
The
So
self
either
is knowledge aspect, but you can have an opening at the psychic, or
the
you can have a
psychic.
touch of ananda. Okay. There can be so many different, or you may have experience that you are not the body. There's separation in the body. Some experience must be there to get you started. Okay.
Some experience beyond your body mind life. Can I say that?
Now, can you repeat what you said?
Some experience beyond your body, mind, and life.
Yes, I would. Yeah, that's right. That means your identification with the body mind life is at least shaken. If not fully, it is at least shaken to begin with. Yeah. But the real acceptance, mother would accept
yes,
and Swamda would accept, that depends on their judgment. We are no, but we can say in a rough way that some development should be there, independent of the body mind life. That's what you are saying. I think so.
Yes, Rangada, that's what, because other, like, this is just a speculation I'm discussing with you because, these are questions which are coming up. Like, otherwise, is it possible that because we have to be in the world, like Sri Aurobindo
Yes,
Yoga is in the world.
exactly.
So suppose we don't have a, this is my question actually. Suppose we don't have a fixation somewhere, that experience of psychic or self or something beyond the mind life, then we will stay in this ordinary personality and we will feel that no, we are actually doing integral yoga. Can that happen? Am I clear about my question?
Yes. Put in this way, it is difficult for me to say because a person may be very fit internally, but he may not even be aware that he has to, he is fit for yoga.
Ready for it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He may feel
You
like
may not be conscious. You may be ready, but you may not be conscious. A person may be ready and may not be conscious.
Exactly.
But somewhere inside, some readiness, some connection has to be there, right?
Absolutely.
Rangada?
Yes, absolutely. And that is from many other past lives. And you may not be aware that you want to do yoga, but then the mother and Sri Aurobindo can see that you are ready inside. Okay, that's right. So these are questions are very difficult to say who is fit and who is not fit.
No, I'm not for others. I'm not asking. It is for myself that I want, it is for my own self to, to understand, to know. For others who can know, it's not
or
possible
I could
to
put
judge.
in another way, Archana
Yeah.
I can say
Yes, Rangada.
that you are attracted to Sri Aurobindo, okay, and mother. You find them naturally, an affinity is there to them. That also is an indication that maybe this is your path. Okay. There are many who come here and reject mother. Okay.
Yes, Rangada.
These things that happen. A very good example is Dilip Kumar Roy. Na? He rejected mother. So many others also. After
Because that, Rangada, once when they were there, like when we could directly talk to them, it was easier. Now we have to actually, try to understand or try to realize or try to experience actually what they want. That's why these
That's right.
questions come up.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Rangada, thank
So let's get back to our text. Okay.
Right.
So our synthesis takes man as a spirit in mind, much more than a spirit in body, and assumes him, in him, or by him, the capacity to begin at that level. That capacity has to be there. To spiritualize his being by the power of soul in mind, opening itself directly to a higher spiritual force and being, and to perfect that by that for higher force, so possessed and brought into action the whole of his nature. For that reason, our initial stress has fallen upon the utilization of the powers of self in mind, to begin with the soul in mind, and the turning of the triple key of knowledge, works, and love in the locks of the spirit. The Hatha Yogic methods can be dispensed with. You don't need to do asanas and pranayama. You don't need to. But if you do, there's no objection. Okay? Because asanas was a very big thing in all our 2nd December programs. Ambu used to always do asanas and show. So it's not being rejected, but it's not necessary. Okay, and many people used to come to him, to Ambu. Maybe even in bulletin, old bulletins, you will see his pictures. Okay, so Hatha Yogic methods can be dispensed with, though there is no objection to their partial use. Raja Yogic will enter in as an informal element. To arrive by the shortest way at the largest development of spiritual power and being, and divinize by it a liberated nature in the whole range of human living, is our inspiring motive. Note the word liberation of nature, not the liberation of soul. The liberation of soul is the Vedanta, and liberation of nature is the Tantric and the integral part. You end with that. You begin with Vedanta and end with Tantra and the integral yoga. So now he is going to tell us what is the how to do it, the principle in view. So Archana ji, will you read the principle in view?
Yes, Rangada.
Yeah, go ahead.
The principle in view is a self-surrender, a giving up of the human being into the being, consciousness, power, and delight of the divine, a union or communion at all the points of meeting in the soul of man, the mental being, by which the divine himself, directly and without veil, master and possessor of the instrument, shall be the light of his presence and guidance, perfect the human beings in all the forces of the nature for a divine living. Here we arrive at a further enlargement of the objects of the yoga. The common initial purpose of all yoga is the liberation of the soul of man from its present natural ignorance and limitation, its release into spiritual being, its union with the highest self and divinity. But ordinarily, this is made not only the initial, but the whole and final object. Enjoyment of spiritual being there is, but either in the dissolution of the human and individual into the silence of self-being, or on a higher plane in another existence. The Tantric system makes liberation the final, but not the only aim. It takes on its way a full perfection and enjoyment of the spiritual power, light, and joy in the human existence, and even it has a glimpse of a supreme experience in which liberation and cosmic action and enjoyment are unified in a final overcoming of all oppositions and dissonances. It is this wider view of our spiritual potentialities from which we begin, but we add another stress which brings in a completer significance. We regard the spirit in man not as solely an individual being traveling to a transcendent unity with the divine, but as a universal being capable of oneness with the divine in all souls and all nature, and we give this extended view its entire practical consequence. The human soul's individual liberation and enjoyment of union with the divine in spiritual being, consciousness, and delight must always be the first object of the yoga. Its free enjoyment of the cosmic unity of the divine becomes a second object. But out of that, a third appears, the effectuation of the meaning of the divine unity with all beings by a sympathy and participation in the spiritual purpose of the divine in humanity. The individual yoga then turns from its separateness and becomes a part of the collective yoga of the divine nature in the human race. The liberated individual being, united with the divine in self and spirit, becomes in his natural being a self perfecting instrument for the perfect outflowering of the divine in humanity.
Yeah. Okay. Quite a big para, and he's giving you all details. But basically, this start with surrender. Okay. So, but also after surrender, what happens? He's giving you many, many small details. We'll look at that. The principle in view is a self-surrender, a giving up of the human being into the being, consciousness, power, delight of the divine. So again, you will see again and again, he stresses the Sat, Chit, Shakti, Ananda aspect. That is our aim. When you say union with the divine, it means this Satchidananda. You have to become absolutely one in substance with the divine, one in consciousness with the divine, power of the divine, and delight of the divine. Normally, in the other yogas, you are only unity in only being or consciousness or power and delight exclusively, excluding the others. But here the aim is union with the divine in all the aspects, all the four. Sat, Chit, Shakti, Ananda. That's the aim. But it doesn't come immediately. First, it comes only through one aspect. Okay, so it doesn't matter. He says, consciousness, power, delight of the divine, a union or communion at all the points of meeting in the soul of man. Now look, again, either a union, then it can be only a temporary union to begin with, or communion. Communion means not union, but a connection. Okay, so there's a difference between union and connection. But even the connection is fantastic because you are constantly being guided because of the communion. At all the points of meeting in the soul of man, the mental being. Okay, you feel the divine presence everywhere, and you are communing with him. Okay, by which the divine himself, directly and without veil, master and possessor of the instrument, shall, by the light of his presence and guidance, perfect the human being in all the forces of the nature for a divine living. So, when you hand over your responsibility to the divine, then he will do the sadhana for you. Okay? Because the guru has the power to identify himself or herself with you, and then they know what your problems are. So they do the yoga for you. But that is possible only when your surrender is absolutely 100%. But the 100% surrender is never there. So therefore it's a slow gradation and a slow successive progress. The progress cannot come immediately. So little by little, as you open yourself, the surrender also becomes more and more complete. And finally, the divine can act in you fully only when you are fully surrendered. It's a gradation. So you get experiences here, experiences there, and slowly, slowly, the opening of the being takes place. Okay, so here we arrive at a farther enlargement of the objects of the yoga. We have to go beyond the Tantra or the Vedanta. We go to the larger. What is the enlargement? She is now telling you. The common initial purpose of all yoga is the liberation of the soul of man from its present natural ignorance and limitation. Okay? So we want to understand and get the liberation of the soul. Its release into the spiritual being, which means level 2. You go to the spiritual level of consciousness. Your consciousness goes there. Its union with the highest self and divinity. So Swami is saying highest self. Okay. But the self can be there even at the higher mind level, just above the mind. Okay. So it's divinity. But ordinarily, this is made not only the initial, but the whole and final object. He is talking about all the other yogas. Okay? Going to the self is enough. That's what they're saying. But ordinarily, this is not only the initial, but the whole and final object. Object of yoga in India for a long time was individual liberation. Liberation of soul, not liberation of nature. Enjoyment of spiritual being, there is. But either in a dissolution of the human and individual being into the silence of self-being, or on a higher plane in another existence. So note carefully the sentence, what he's saying. He's still speaking about the other yogas. Okay? Enjoyment of spiritual being is there in the other yogas. But either in a dissolution of the human and individual into the silence of self-being, in other words, you are rejecting the physical world. Dissolution of the human and individual into the silence of self-being. The Buddhistic path and the Mayavadic path. Also the Jnana Yoga path, mostly. Or on a higher plane in another existence. But not in the physical world. That's what meaning by another existence. Your consciousness has gone to maybe even higher mind, even illumined mind, even intuitive mind, maybe even over mind it could go. But that's not the aim in the integral path, because you have to become one in the physical plane, not in another existence. There is the importance of the word another existence. So now he goes on to the tantric system makes liberation the final, but not the only aim. Okay, its aim also is enjoyment. Okay, so it takes on its way a full perfection and enjoyment of the spiritual power, light, and joy in the human existence. Tantra puts a lot of attention on enjoyment and power, both. And enjoyment and power can come only when you have knowledge, which is light. So this is the aim in the Tantra is to go and become one with the divine, but on the way also, they don't give any lack of importance to power and joy. Okay? They enjoy that also. And even it has a glimpse of a supreme existence in which liberation and cosmic action and enjoyment are unified in a final overcoming of all oppositions and dissonances. So, this sentence you have to understand fully. Even for Sri Aurobindo, when he had his overmind experience, it was wonderful. But there was a division, a gulf between spirit and matter, between Purusha and Prakriti. Both are real, not as in the Mayavada and the Buddhistic, the world is unreal. No, the world is real. And the spirit also is real. But they are separate. They are separate. Okay? And that separateness, that's what Sri Aurobindo is pointing out here. Okay? The Tantra has a glimpse of this non-separation. That means they even touch the Superman, a touch of it. Okay? So note carefully the words, you will see exactly that's what is meaning. Okay? And even the tantric system, and even it has a glimpse of a supreme experience in which liberation and cosmic action and enjoyment are unified in a final overcoming of all oppositions and dissonances. If you are at the overmind level, the overcoming of all oppositions is not possible. It is possible only when you get a glimpse of the supermind. So that's what he's saying, that the Tantra can do that. Tantra aim is that. But in the integral yoga, the aim is to remain permanently settled in the supramental world, which is of course very difficult. It's a process. You have to go through many lives to be able to do that. Okay? So very clearly, the opposition between spirit and matter, between Purusha and Prakriti, is eliminated by glimpses of the highest level in the Tantra. Now Sylvia is saying, yes?
Can you tell us anyone's name that who has achieved through tantric philosophy, tantric method?
Oh, tantric method. Sri Aurobindo was not very much in favor of tantric method. First of all, there was one gentleman in Chandanagar. Okay, He was the one who hosted Sri Aurobindo. When Sri Aurobindo came from Calcutta to Chandanagar, he was there. Uh, it's a whole book called Light to Superlight. Okay, from light to superlight. All the correspondence between him and Motilal Roy, that was his name. He was a tantric. Okay, but Sri Aurobindo was advising him in many ways. Ultimately, he broke away. When mother came here, he broke away. But he was definitely a tantric. And here in the ashram, there was a gentleman who came. His name was Pramod Kumar. Okay, he was an artist, and he has done that painting of that the heralds of the supramental world, the two swans, which you see in upstairs. When you go upstairs, you see that. He did that painting, and he was a tantric. Okay, but in the ashram, nobody was tantric. Nolida was definitely, of course, he enjoyed. His enjoyment was there, but his path was more jnana yoga than anything else. Okay. So I can't say. I think Seema is asking whether in the ashram anybody was a tantric. Okay.
Not in ashram, Dada. In somewhere else, in other places also.
Okay.
Just when we are speaking about Sri Chaitanya, Sri Ramakrishna, and Buddha. So like that, is anybody there whom we can name that he has achieved through that tantric?
I have not
process?
studied that path very well, so I
Okay,
can't
okay.
really say.
Okay,
But
okay,
definitely,
okay.
Ramakrishna was not a tantric to begin with, although he had enjoyment also, but he was not known as a tantric. So I would have to check what you. Surely there have been many. Okay, but they don't look for name and fame, so they are not well known. Okay, but there's no doubt that there were many. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Okay, so we come back to our text. Okay, so now is saying, it is this wider view of our spiritual potentialities from which we begin, but we add another stress which brings in a completer significance. And what is that wider stress? Not the individual, but also collective. Okay, that's what he's going to tell us. And how to do that collective, he is going to tell us. We regard, who is the we? Sri Aurobindo and his system. Okay, not anybody. When he says we, he is referring to his own path. Okay, be very clear about that. We regard the spirit in man not as solely an individual being traveling to a transcendent unity with the divine, but as a universal being capable of oneness with the divine in all souls and all nature. Okay, and we give this extended view its entire practical consequence. So what Shendra is saying is that first of all, with your aspiration, you have to go to the self, and in the self, it must not be that you are rejecting the physical world, but you must get a cosmic consciousness. You must identify yourself with all souls in the world. So that is the, if you remember in Life Divine, he says in one chapter, very early chapter, that when you go to the self, three possibilities are there. One, you see the physical world as unreal and reject it. The other, you have a cosmic consciousness and you embrace the world. So Srivendra is here saying that you have a cosmic consciousness, you feel yourself, your soul to be the same soul as everybody else. Okay, but that the cosmic consciousness can express itself in two ways: apprehending and comprehending. In other words, you feel your soul to be one with everybody else. You feel yourself to be in everybody else. But there's the other one, comprehending. You feel that everybody else is there in you. Okay, the whole universe is within you. That's a comprehending. So cosmic consciousness has got two aspects. Any one will be sufficient to start with, and then you go even higher up to the supramental level. But you can't go to the supramental level unless you have the cosmic consciousness. He's very clear about that. Okay. So first from level 1, you go to level 2, and level 2 also, cosmic consciousness is one aspect. You can go to level 2 without the cosmic consciousness. That's a Jnana Yoga path, for instance. Okay. You have liberation, and Buddhism also is the same. You have liberation, but you're not one with everybody else. Cosmic consciousness may not be there. Okay? So now this is what Srimji is saying. First you go there and then you, and it has got implications. When you are becoming one with the universe, you are not rejecting it. So you go one more step. Okay? After your liberation, you come down and help the others. This idea is there in the Gita also, but the Gita, the transformation of body, mind, life is not there. Okay? So Srimji is going beyond Vedanta, going beyond Tantra, going beyond the Gita. He's going beyond and saying, even the body, mind, life must become perfect. And you can't do that unless you go to the supramental level, level 3. Okay? So we regard the spirit in man not as solely an individual being traveling to a transcendent unity with the divine, which is an individual achievement. It's very fine, but it's not what Srimji wants. But as a universal being, capable of oneness with the divine in all souls and all nature. And we give this extended view its entire practical consequence. And what is that consequence? You don't reject the physical world and you try to help others also. The human soul's individual liberation and enjoyment of union with the divine in spiritual being, consciousness and delight must always be the first object of the yoga. Union with the divine is the first. Its free enjoyment of the cosmic unity of the divine becomes the second object, enjoyment, okay, which is common again to Srimad Yoga and Tantra, okay, enjoyment, okay, free enjoyment, okay. The normal pleasure of man is not a free enjoyment; it's a bound enjoyment. You are so look at the importance of the word free. Free enjoyment means you are not attached to it, okay. But our pleasures are all bound enjoyments, which is not a spiritual thing at all. Okay? Free enjoyment of the cosmic unity of the divine being, the second object. But now the third object comes. And what is that? You don't reject the collectivity. The liberation of the individual is great, but there must also be a liberation of the collectivity. In other words, a supramental race must also manifest. Okay, that's what it means. Its free enjoyment of cosmic unity in the divine becomes the second object, but out of that, a third appears. The effectuation of the meaning of the divine unity with all beings by sympathy and participation in the spiritual purpose of the divine in humanity. So what is the spiritual purpose of the divine in humanity? Evolution. Evolution will take you to the supramental manifestation in the physical world. There will appear in the world itself a new species of humans who are human in one way, but also divine in another way. And these Mother and Srimad were trying to transform their body, which was built in the biological manner. They were trying to do, but it did not take place. Okay, because the world conditions were not ready. But the work that Mother has done is now waiting to go to the next step in this subtle physical world. There is no doubt about it. She has done up to the subtle physical world. In the supramental manifestation upon earth, that 8 or 9 or about 10 articles which he wrote in the bulletin, Srimad pointed out that the appearance of the supramental body can take place in many ways. He says it can be precipitated from the subtle physical into the physical. That's one way. Okay? And that is probably because it is Swayambhu. You are creating your own body. Nature is not creating your body when you are a supramental race. You yourself are creating your body. Just like Mother was preparing her own body in her mother's womb, it was Saraswati who was preparing the body for Mother in the womb of her own mother. Okay? So this way you will be able to create your own body and precipitate it from the subtle physical into the physical. That's what he mentions in that series of articles. Okay? And Mother also has pointed out something, how that spiritual body will take place. She says it could become the substance of the psychic being, because she said that once when Rijuta was an American lady, and mother was, she went to mother, and mother saw, normally the psychic being is supposed to be a Angushta Matra Purusha, a very small element deep in yourself, deep within the heart, or rather behind the heart. But in Rijuta's case, she found that the psychic being was larger than her body and outside, behind her. And then she had the intuition that this could be the materialization of the subtle psychic substance and become the supramental body. So there are several ways hinted at, but it has not yet taken place. No supramental body has yet manifested, but it's definitely on the way. There's no doubt about that. Okay. So there what Srimati is saying. I read the last sentence. Okay. Not sentence, last two sentences. The individual yoga then turns from its separateness and becomes a part of the collective yoga of the divine nature in the human race. That is the reason why Mother has created Auroville, a collectivity, a collective yoga, and also the ashram. Okay, these are the two where the experiment of Srimati's integral yoga is taking place collectively. The individuals, of course, have to attain there, but collectively also it's important. So that is the extra thing that he said that we will add to this. So that also nobody has visualized about this supramental race. The liberated individual being, united with the divine in self and spirit, becomes in his natural being a self-perfecting instrument for the perfect outflowering of the divine in humanity. The perfect outflowering of the divine in humanity will come about when there is a supramental grace. Okay. So, there was saying, oh, we have already gone to 8:42, so we have to stop here today. So, he has told you very clearly what the method is. So, what is the method? Self-surrender. Think of yourself as a Manomaya Purusha and surrender yourself to the divine, and she will do everything for you. In the book, The Mother, he has also given very clearly, in very short, the method of the integral yoga. He says, first of all, aspiration. And what does surrender mean? How do you surrender? You surrender to the divine by constantly thinking of the divine and offering everything that you are doing to them. Your work, your thoughts, your emotions, everything, your eating, your sleeping, whatever you are doing, offer to them first. Okay. This will establish a connection between you and them. Then slowly, slowly their presence will become very, very concrete. So this is the way. So first of all, aspiration above, which is a remembrance. Then surrender at the physical level. Whatever happens to you, don't take it amiss and don't think of it in a negative way. Tragedies can also be very, very helpful to you. Okay. Misfortune also can be very helpful to you, to the soul, not to the body mind life, but to the soul. Then rejection. Rejection of all that is negative in you. There is a triple effort of the integral yoga. Aspiration, surrender, and rejection. This is the method. Okay? We stop here today. Okay. Au revoir, everybody.
Thank you, Ranga.